I definitely feel like a steaming cup of hot cocoa right now. How about you? Hi everyone, Cristin Som here, and we are continuing with our Whisk You a Merry Christmas quilt. So we have 7 blocks done now so far. We're still on row 1. We have the sugar block, flour block, sugar and spice, the 3 peppermint blocks, and then we have our rolling pin, which some of us chose to personalize. I love how this came out. I'm really happy with this. So those are our 7 blocks that we have done so far. Today I want to try and get 2 done. So I'm thinking the steaming cup and the whipped cup. So both of those very simple applique blocks. I think it will be fun to do those. So let's go ahead and talk about what we need for those. I am going to join them in one hooping, and I'm going to do it in a simple way, basically just joining the quilting to save on time and stabilizer, but then I'll do the blocks separately. You can choose to join them even more if you prefer. Either way will work fine. It will be a very easy day today. So let's go over each one separately. So steaming cup is the first one, and it is snowing here today, and I'm telling you, whenever it snows or rains, it just calls to me, I want a cup of hot cocoa. I haven't yet today, but I did have a protein smoothie, a little different, but anyway, so grab your packet. This is the steaming cup of cocoa or coffee or whatever it is. It looks like cocoa to me, but I don't like coffee. I'm not a real big fan of coffee. I actually like it, but I am so hyper as it is. You don't want to see me on coffee, right? I'll be like, more blocks, let's do more. I'm just kidding. All right, so let's talk about what we need. So the first thing is our main fabric for our background. So that is going to be this red and white striped fabric, and it's this way. So in the book, it shows it this way with the stripes going horizontally. The block is the same size all the way around, so you can do it however you want. But we're going to start with this at 6.5 by 8, 6.5 by 6.5. Sorry, I almost said the wrong thing. 6.5 by 6.5. Make sure to back this with fusible stabilizer to ward off puckers. All right, 6.5 by 6.5 for your main fabric. And then we just have one applique piece. How easy is that? So on the original, if you bought the original fabric kit years ago, then it came with this green with green flowers fabric as our applique piece. That's for the cup. All right, and this is going to be 3.5 by 3.5, backed with fusible stabilizer if you choose. On the applique pieces, it's totally up to you. Someone asked the other day in our group about using Heat and Bond Light. I don't use Heat and Bond Light on my quilts. I use it for shirts. So if you're curious about shirts, you can look up on my YouTube channel. Just type in shirt in the search bar within the channel, and you'll see the ones that have appliques. And I do recommend it for the Heat and Bond Light for appliques, but not on quilts. Just your regular fusible stabilizer, fusible backing by Kimberbell, or the SF101, whatever you use. But I do that on appliques, and like I've said from the start, that's totally optional. Some people choose to only do it on the main fabric, so whatever works for you. 3.5 by 3.5, and like I said, this is the original fabric. If you bought from our sponsor, then you probably received this newer green doodle fabric. You can see it's pretty similar. It's actually super cute. I really like it. And that one's still the same thing, 3.5 by 3.5 if you're using the original one or the newer one. Either one will work fine, 3.5 by 3.5. All right. And then the only other thing that we need for that one is our batting. So our final cut size is 4.5 by 4.5. That means that we want a piece of batting that is 5 by 5. 5 by 5 for your batting today. All right, for the steaming block, steaming cup. So on this one, the quilting design, you can use any quilting design that is 4 by 4. 4 by 4 quilting design. I'm going to use cup 1. Cup 1. How can you not use that, right? I think that's so perfect for this block. So cup 1 was from Cup of Cheer. So those of us that did Cup of Cheer, that big Christmas quilt, we have cup 1 as part of our quilting bundle. And so if you've already got that, great. If not, you can purchase it separately on the Kimberbell website, or you can choose any quilting design that is 4 by 4. All right. So super easy one. It says that we will add pom-poms for the marshmallows after the quilting is complete. I'm going to do that after all of it's done. I always add those type of embellishments after the entire quilt is put together, after I've added my backing, because it can get in the way, all right, when you're doing that stitch in the ditch. So if you have those in your block, I add, or in your packet, I add them to my embellishment packet at the end. I don't do it at this point. So don't worry about those for now. So 4.5 by 4.5 is our cut size, and we are going to start with the steaming cup. And like I said, I'm going to do 2-in-1 hooping, but the photos for the most part will be the same for those of you that are choosing not to do that either way. So I'll talk about the next one in just a second. All right, the next block is whipped cup. So both of these blocks are on page 10 of our Kimberbell book. Grab your packet for whipped cup. This one is very similar to the other one, but there are 2 extra elements to it because of the whipped topping and the what is it called, the flexifoam, to have that whipped topping stand up. All right, so whipped cup is on page 10 of our book. Grab that. There's not much to this one either. There are 2 extra little pieces, but very easy blocks today. All right, so we're going to start with our main fabric on this one, and it is this black with Christmas words, baking words all over it. All right, this one we are going to have a 6.5 by 6.5. Notice it is definitely a directional fabric. You want to make sure to get your words right if you're using this one. You wouldn't want it to be like this in your quilt. All right, make sure that you've got it placed right. So when you're placing down your fabric right side up, make sure that it's also going the right direction when you lay it down. All right. Okay, and you can check it before you tack it in place. All right, so on this one, 6.5 by 6.5, I did back mine with fusible stabilizer. You definitely want to do that on the main background pieces to ward off puckering. All right, 6.5 by 6.5. Now this is from the original fabric kit, and it is long retired. So if you didn't get the fabric kit from years ago, then if you received from our sponsor a substitute, it was most likely this black plaid. All right, and that will work fine, and this one's not directional, so easier to work with. Either way is totally fine. So still 6.5 by 6.5. Make sure to back it with fusible stabilizer, and like I said, it's this black plaid, and it's the substitute for the Christmas words on the Christmas words fabric, if you didn't get it years ago. All right, 6.5 by 6.5 for your main fabric today for the steaming cup. And then we have our cup fabric. So the cup fabric is this really cute red with white dots on it. That will be really fun with this black, don't you think? That will look really good. I like that. All right, so on this one, it is 4x4 for the cup fabric. I backed mine with fusible stabilizer. That's optional. 4x4 for your cup fabric. All right, and then we have the whipped topping. So the whipped topping fabric is the houndstooth. It's a white houndstooth. Oh good, that does show up well. I didn't think it would. White houndstooth with white on a white fabric, and you want to back this with fusible stabilizer. Even if you're not if you generally don't put fusible stabilizer on your appliques, I would do it on this because it is going to be up against a bright red, up against a black, and you don't want the colors to come through that white. You want it pretty solid, and so, but it's also going to be up against the flexifoam now that I think about it, so you might be okay. Up to you, I guess. You figure that one out. So I did back mine with fusible stabilizer. This whipped topping piece, whipped cream fabric, is going to be 3x3. 3x3 for the whipped cream fabric. And then we have the flexifoam. That'll make it stand up. It'll be really cool. So the flexifoam is 3x3. 3x3. This looks a lot bigger than 3x3. It must have come in my embellishment kit already cut, I'm guessing. So 3x3. Looks like mine is more like 4x4, but I'm gonna trim it down. It's not a problem. So 3x3 for the flexifoam whipped topping is going to go underneath. I'll show you in photos. We'll go through step by step. 3x3 for the flexifoam. All right, and then the only other thing that we need is our batting. So our batting, same thing as the other one. Our final cut size is 4.5 by 4.5. So we want our batting to be 5 by 5. 5 by 5 for your batting. And I have a call. All right, I guess the call just took over. Sorry, I hope that didn't mess anything up. So on our batting, 5 by 5 for your batting. Final cut size is 4.5 by 4.5. So we want a quilting design that is 4 by 4, just like the other one. I'm going to use cup 1 again. I think that will be really cute with these two together. So cup 1 is the quilting design. Like I said, it's from Cup of Cheer, but you can also buy it separately, or you can use any quilting design that you have that is 4 by 4. All right, 2 easy blocks today. That's it, very easy. Let's go ahead and get started. Hey everyone, so I'm at my computer now and I just wanted to quickly show you how to join the 2 blocks together on one hooping if you choose. I'm also going to show you how to align them, a few things here. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to open up Embellishment Essentials, and it is opening to my 6 by 10 hoop. That's what I used last time, and I think actually that will probably be the best option for me here. You can certainly use other sizes, but 6 by 10 seems like a good one. If you're not on the hoop size you want, go up to this preferences folder and click on the hoop size you want, say OK, and then click on this compass button and click H for hoop, and it will zoom into the hoop so that you can see everything well. All right, so I'm going to start by bringing in the quilting design. I'm actually going to move this over because my quilting design is right here. I just unzipped it. I'm going to click on that and click on cup 1. And then I'm looking for the 4 by 4. Make sure to use the block by block version. And I use pads for my machine. And you can see them here. I like this view option better. I'm going to do that. And let's see. So 4 by 4 right there. I'm going to double click, or actually I think I need to just drag it since I'm doing it this way. There it is. Look at that. All right, I'm going to close this window. So there's the 4 by 4 of the cup 1. That is really cute. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on this design. Now notice we've got the 5 steps: the placement and tack down of the batting, the placement and tack down of the main fabric, and then the quilting design. I want to go ahead and change the colors on these so that what I want to join will join and what I don't want to will not. I'm already drawing a blank on what the fabric colors were. I know one of them was black. What was that first one? I'll look at the book here. So one of them is red, the background is red, and one of them is black. So we want to keep that in mind because I'm probably not going to want the same quilting thread color unless you do like a silver, gray. We could use red on the one and black on the other. I'm thinking actually, I think I want to use gray on both of them. So I think I will keep them the same, but you have the option of changing that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click outside, click in the workspace or outside of this objects window just so that you can have nothing selected, because when I had this selected, I want just to click outside of that design. So click on number 1. Oh, I need to move this back. My head is in the way. All right, so click on number 1, default 1. Click on the color, and I'm just going to change the color to dark aqua, the first color that comes up for me. You've seen me do this lots of times by now. All right, and then 1, 2, click on the color. The first color that comes up for me is Blaze. Again, the thread color doesn't matter. You can take the time and sit there and go through all your colors for what you want, but why bother, right? All right, 1, 3, and then click on the color. We're just telling it that we want it to be so that what we want to join joins and what we don't want to does not. Because if we kept that default 1 blue on both of those, we would lose that opportunity to have the stop, and the placement for the batting and the main fabric would now be joined, and that's what we don't want to happen. So when we clicked on 1, 3, the first color that comes up is dark aqua, but we already used that. We can see it here. So I'm just going to use the second color down, which is marine for me. And then 1, 4, click on the color, and we don't want Blaze because we already used Blaze. So now I'm going to choose Oriole. All right, and then 1, 5, I'm going to click on the color. The first one that comes up for me is Sprout. Now, when you do the second one, if you're going to end up using like a black and a red, then you would want those to be different. I'm going to use the same, but I'll try and remember to tell you. All right, so we're on 1-5. We want to make sure to click outside before we move the block, otherwise we'll move just the quilting design. So click outside of the work area, outside of the design, I should say, and then click on the design so that you have all 5 parts, and then we can use the arrow keys on our keyboard to move it up. Or you can use your mouse, whatever works for you. All right, so that one is done. Excuse my dog sleeping. He's so darn cute. All right, that's the first one. So now I want to hit Control-C to copy now that we've changed all the colors, and then Control-V like victory to paste a second one. So you can see it's on here. There's one design and 2 designs. Over here, you can't tell because they're on top of each other. So I'm going to just use my arrow keys and move that second one down. When I use my arrow keys, it makes it so that it stays centered, which doesn't matter, but my OCD brain wants it to just stay centered. Okay, but you can certainly use your mouse. I'm just closing these so I can see them, see what I need. All right, so the next part, I'm going to bring in that steaming cup and the whipped cup. And so let's see here, I gotta think about this. I want these to join, to merge together with a color sort, but not the other part. So I'm going to show you how to do that. I showed you one other video, but I'm going to give you a little refresher here. So I'm going to go to Merge Stitch File, and I'm going to navigate to my We Whisk You a Merry Christmas folder and embroidery files, Pez, and Quilt. And then I'm looking for the steaming cup first. Right there. How cute is that? I didn't notice that cute little design on there. All right, that is very cute. All right, steaming cup, double click on that. It goes to the center. Now, I'm going to show you how to align it while we're here. So you can see it's in the middle here right now. And it will move the block a little bit because it's in the middle. If I moved it up, it won't move it as much, but I'm just going to show you anyway. So click on number 1, the first quilting design, and then click your control button on your keyboard and hold it down while you click on number 3, which is that steaming cup. So then we have both of these selected, and I'm going to go up here to Utility, Align and Distribute, the second one down, and I'm going to say Center, Center. Apply. All right, so see, it centered it within that block, but then it also moved my entire block down, which is not a big deal at all. So I'm going to say close, and then while I have them both selected, I'm just going to move them back up here. The reason I'm putting them all the way up at the top, not too far, you want to make sure you're not over your hoop, but the reason is so that we have room for that fabric, because the fabrics are always 2 inches larger than our final cut size. So there will be some overlap here, but I'm just going to fold them in a way that it's not going to bother me. You could use a bigger hoop if it's a problem. All right, so that one is done. We have it all centered correctly. That's the way to tell if it's done correctly, is to let Embrilliance Essentials do that for you. So that one's done. I don't want to change all the colors. You certainly can. You absolutely can, and it will save on some steps, but I'm going to keep it this way for now. All right, so I'm going to go to Merge Stitch File again, and I'm going to bring in the next one, which is the whipped cup. Yep, whipped cup. All right, so I'm just going to come down here to the W's. Where's the whipped cup? I must have passed it while it was loading. There it is right there. All right, whipped cup. Double click on that. It goes to the center just like that other one did. And, oh, okay. So click on number 2, the quilting design number 2, and then hit that control button. Hold it down while you click on number 4. And I'm going to, hold on one second. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. All right, so 2 and 4. And holding your control button to make sure that you have 2 and 4, and then once you've got both of them selected, you can let go of your control button. And then I'm going to go to Utility, Align and Distribute, just like we did before, and I'm going to click Center, Center, Apply, and watch the whole thing will move, but it will center within those 2. I should have shown you, I should have moved it to closer to it, and you could see that then it doesn't move the entire block, but either way. All right, close. And then I'm just going to use my arrow keys to bring it back down to where it should be. All right, you want to make sure to do that though so that you have that space in between the two blocks. All right, so that is done. That was super easy, but we didn't do our color sort. And the reason is if you do your color sort first, then you can't use that align and distribute because it brings everything into less designs and then you don't have that option. All right, so what I'm going to do here, I'm going to hit File, New Page, because we want to do a color sort, but I don't want to do a color sort with, like if you look at 3 and 4, we've got cyan, orange, black, 2 different greens. There's another green. Actually isn't black. There's 2 blacks. That's it. That would be easy. Let's see what number 4 is in. Cyan, light orange, orange. Not too many. So you have to change the ones that have the same color, but it would be pretty easy to do that and then color sort the whole thing. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep it simple. For those people that aren't using software so that the photos will be all of the first block, all of the second block after we do the quilting. But you have the option of doing that and it wouldn't be too hard at all. All right, so again, File, New Page. And what it does is it opens another tab. So here's that first tab and here's our new tab that doesn't have anything in it. I'm just going to say, I'm going to click down below and drag up to get all of the parts, and I'm going to say Control C to copy, and I'm going to go to Untitled 2, the next tab, and say Control V, and then I have them all there again, okay? And the reason I'm doing that is I want to do a color sort with just the quilting designs. So to do that, I'm just going to click this 3 and 4, and I'm going to delete them. Don't worry, they'll come back in a minute. I'm going to say Delete. All right, and all I have are the 2 quilting designs. So I'm going to do a color sort while I have those 2. And yes, when you were on Untitled 1, you could have just selected those. To do that, you would just from the right click over to the left and get just those 2. Either way, it's not going to matter. It was easy to delete them. All right, so there's our first 2. I want to go ahead, and right now we have 10 color steps. We can definitely get that down to 5, and that will save us time from the in and out with the hoop and several things. You know what, I'm just going to peek real quick. I wanted to make sure we've got a couple of the cups. And you have to do this before you do a color sort. Like if you wanted to, I'm going to show you what I mean. So if I click on this first one, so we are definitely going to see that 1 cup. On this one, we'll see this cup as well. On this lower one, we're really only going to see this 1 cup. So I'm just going to just show you something. I'm going to click on this second one. And if I rotate the design to the left, let's see, then we have 2 cups. Okay, just pointing this out. This is an option for us. I'm going to keep doing it and just see which way gives us the best. If we do the third, ooh, look at that. If we rotate it 3 times, we get 3 cups in there. See those cups? We can see those much better. I like that. So I'm going to do that. And I think I'll do it on both of them. Let's go ahead and do it on number 1 too. So to do that, you just click on that first, the quilting design, right? That just the quilting design. Make sure you've got all parts of it, just like this, and then just rotate it. Very fun, easy to do. So see, now we have 3 of the cups, and they show better than when we had it the other way. So if you rotate it, you can see more of your cups in the quilting. I think that is a good idea. So that kind of deletes what I had already done here. I'm going to go ahead and delete these. I'm going to just down from the bottom, click up, click delete. I'm going to go back to this one, and I'm going to do this again. So again, you can do all 4 designs, or you can do just the 2. It's not going to matter at all because we're going to come back to it. Control C to copy, go back to that Untitled 2 and hit Control V like victory to paste. So then we've got our quilting designs, all right? And right now we have 10 color steps. You can see it down here on the bottom right-hand corner, and I want to get it down to 5 because that'll save us a lot of time from dealing with all the cutting and trimming and placing all the batting. We'll do it all at once. It'll be super easy. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and go to Utility Color Sort. And it thinks. It's reduced it by 5 color changes. Now remember, new view. And don't forget, you want to have these same settings. All right, if your settings are different, your results will likely be different. So you want to have this tolerance at 0 and these other things not checked. So new view opens a third tab. So now we've got our third tab, and now see the quilting designs are together. So I'm just going to quickly look. Placement of the batting is together, tack down of the batting together, placement of the main fabric, tack down of the main fabric, and our quilting design. Don't forget that if you want to use two different quilting designs, you would do that on this first one. Let me just click here to remind you. You would just go to this number 5. The first one you could keep to whatever you had, go to the number 5. I clicked outside and then clicked back on it and changed that color. If you want to stop, if you want to create a stop so that you can change your thread color, I'm going to do them the same, so I'm not going to worry about it. But anyway, just wanted to remind you about that. All right, and so that is all together. Now we have them in one setting. Now look at how funny. It's going to start here. Because remember, we rotated it. It's not going to start stitching up here. It looks like it's going to start stitching out here. I could be wrong, but that's what it looks like from here. Doesn't matter at all. All right, so now we can go to Untitled 2. Nope, Untitled 1, sorry. Untitled 1. Click outside so that nothing is selected. And then click down from the bottom and drag up so that you have the number 3 design and the number 4 design, the 2 cups that have already, because the reason that we're doing it this way is because we already aligned these, right? So we want to have this exactly like this. So if we go to Untitled 1, click on step 3 and step 4, say Control C to copy, and then open up Untitled 3, the one that's just got the one quilting design all together, and say Control V like victory, and you can see that they're aligned again, just how they were before, and we can see our quilting cups. How cute is that? I'm so glad we thought of doing that. I'm so glad that I noticed that there wasn't very much showing on when you initially load the quilting design, but if we rotate it, because this is not a directional quilting design, you can see some cups are they're all over the place. It doesn't matter. So that worked out really well. So this is done. Again, I did not color sort the cup, so we'll do all of the quilting together, and then we'll do that cup, the first steaming cup, and then the whipped cup, and be done with it. So I'm going to say File, Save Stitch File As, and I'm in my quilt already, so that's good. I'm going to say 6 by 10, so I remember what hoop to use, and I'm going to say, I think I'll say cups because it's the 2 cups. I'll say cups times 2. All right, and everything is all ready and good. I'll say save, and then I'm going to send it to my machine. I have a Brother Luminaire, which is the same as the Baby Lock Solaris, so mine works this way. There's others that do as well, several others, but I don't know exactly which ones, even though people tell me, and I just always forget because I don't know much about those newer machines or different style of machines. So I'm going to say utility send to Solaris. If you don't have a machine that does that, you would just put your USB stick in and save it to your USB stick. File sent to machine, so I'm all ready to get started. Are you excited? This will be a fun, easy day. And my shirt today, this is a fun one. I really like this. So a bunch of us did this gnome design because I made a tutorial out of it, and we put Mylar behind it, and so it's like glittery and sparkly and super pretty. Fun design. This design is from Tattered Stitches. The hoodie is from Amazon. It's a little big on me, and I got a small, so it does run a little bit big, just a warning. But it's a cute hoodie with lots of different fun colors from Amazon. I will add a link of where you can get the hoodie here, and there's a link for the design, the gnome design from Embroidery, Tattered Stitches Embroidery, underneath this video. Super cute design, and it was so fun to see so many people doing it, and in different colors and different designs, design elements. It was really fun to see so many people making this specific design. So it's a really cute one, great for Christmas. And hey, it's a gnome in a mug. I had to wear this today, right? So we're making 2 cup quilting blocks, and so I had to wear my cup, my gnome in a cup. I thought that was pretty fun. So fun design. I'll share all the information under this video. All right, so how are you doing with your goal? I'm loving seeing all the comments and everybody subscribing and making sure to share how you're doing with your goal. I'm absolutely loving that. Whatever your goal is, there are so many different options of things that you could do for your goal. So make sure to share in the comments on YouTube and let me know how you're doing with your goal, what your goal is. So mine is to inspire, and I shared several bike stories of different things goals that I had set that I pushed really hard to attain, and sometimes failed, and then learned from those experiences. Today's going to be a quick story. So I'm going to share how I got started in embroidery, and I would love it if you would share also in the comments. Tell me what got you started in embroidery. So in California, I owned a cookie company that I made decorated cookies all the time. I worked really, really, really hard, like 16-hour days all the time. I was super, super busy. And when you're decorating cookies, you're in this one little position. You know, it was really hard on my body, very hard, very time-consuming, labor-intensive job. But I really enjoyed it, and I got started in that because a friend said, "Oh my gosh, you make such pretty cookies," because we'd made them for birthday parties and Christmases and stuff, and so I turned it into a business, which was not easy in California. California's got a whole lot of cottage laws, and trying to get everything going with that, so it was a lot of work, but I owned that cookie company that ended up turning into a cookie cutter company, because I'd buy lots of cookie cutters. I'm like, oh, I want this bigger, and I like bigger cookies, and oh, this baby would be so cute with a bow on her head. And I would suggest different things to the cookie cutter companies, asking them to make these changes. And I generally bought copper cookie cutters so that they'd last forever and be something that I can pass down to my daughter. And I ended up deciding, I want so many changes to these. I want to personalize them. So I ended up buying a 3D printer, and unless you've got a degree in engineering, it's pretty hard to figure out. It took me a while to figure out how to turn it into making a cookie cutter. And when I did, I ended up, everybody asked for them from, I was in this cookie community. It's kind of funny to say, but like we had Cookie Con, like Comic-Con, Cookie Con, and like 400 of us would go, and we did lots in the cookie world, lots and lots of stuff in the cookie world. It was really pretty fun, and an amazing community, very tight-knit community. So anyway, I ended up buying like 5 of those 3D printers, and I was shipping cookie cutters all over the world, and working insane, just so much work, working. And so anyway, I ended up selling that cookie cutter business, but in the meantime, so I had a cookie logo, right, for my business, and the cookie community really looked out for me. They always did. They, oh, so-and-so stole your cookie cutter design, and we'd be on it, and all the things. So Anyway, someone contacted me. Someone reached out and said, "Hey, your cookie logo has been stolen." And it's kind of funny because the cookie logo was based on me. It had pink hair, which I had at the time. It was weird to have, it had my name on it, the whole bit, and somebody took my logo that I had made. I had somebody draw it out for me, the whole bit. I bought this design. It was definitely my design, and they were using it, and I didn't know anything about it, and they happened upon it. And so I contacted the person a few times, several times, and they never responded back. And so I ended up finding out where this person was using the logo, and it was in an embroidery group, a big embroidery group. And they were using my design as theirs. And like I said, I reached out to this person a few times. She'd never responded back. So I ended up calling her out in the group. And I went into this group that had 20,000 people in it. And I said, so I've tried reaching out to you and you're not responding. So I'm letting you know here that you've got my design. It's not okay for you to use my design, blah, blah, blah. So it all worked out. It was totally fine, not a big deal. Everything worked out. But I knew nothing about embroidery, nothing. I didn't even know this world existed. And so I stayed in that group just because I'm seeing all these beautiful designs. People are posting hooded towels and shirts that they made, and lots of different projects. And I'm seeing all these things going, oh my gosh, this is so pretty. And that's how I found out about embroidery. I literally just fell upon it. And I stayed in that group just because I was super interested in what they were making. And I ended up deciding to save up money, which took a while, to be able to buy my first embroidery machine. This is a person that had never sewn a thing. I didn't know how to sew a button. I certainly didn't know how to sew. I didn't own a sewing machine. I knew nothing, but I'm like, I'm going to make these embroidered things for my grandkids. Like, these are really cool, neat things. So I saved for a long time, and I bought my first embroidery machine. It was a Brother, I don't remember the name of it, but it was a 6x10. Luckily, I lucked out that I happened to, because I kept reading. People would say, buy whatever you can afford, the biggest hoop that you can afford. Basically, if you're going to start out, because once you start out, like say you get a 4x4 embroidery machine, you're going to be bored with it really quickly, and you're going to want a bigger hoop. So I saved up and I bought a 6x10 embroidery hoop machine, and I jumped in. It was really funny. The shop that I bought it from gave me one lesson, and really sweet. Like, this is how you do this. This is how you do that. And that's all it took. I was off running with that. And I get it home and I buy this Daniel Tiger applique design. It had 9 applique pieces. My very first thing at trying was this 9-piece applique thing, and I was like, I got it all done. I made this really cute shirt for my granddaughter, and then I put the machine away for a month. I was like, all right, I'm afraid of that thing. That thing's a lot of work. It takes a lot of time to do this. And then I finally got back into it, and a friend of mine, here I'm making lots of stuff. I was making a ton of stuff for my grandkids and having so much fun with it. I totally loved it. And I still didn't know how to sew a single thing, which is all right, because the things I was making, I didn't need to know how to sew. In fact, I would make shirts for my grandkids, and I would cut the side open so that I could have a bigger embroidery field. And then my daughter would have to sew it back up. I didn't even know how to do that. So a friend of mine, Lori, takes me to this quilt shop. I had never been to a quilt shop, didn't know such a thing existed. Takes me to this quilt shop in Camel, California. And I walk in, and hanging on the wall is this Kimberbell quilt. Hello, Sunshine. Hello, Sunshine. Oh my, it had a bike on it. I was so sold. I was like, oh my gosh. And here I am buying fabrics for applique pieces at Joann's or Hobby Lobby, whatever, and here I'm at a quilt shop, and there's just everything you could think of, beautiful stuff, right? I walk out of that quilt shop. I bought the Kimberbell book. I don't know what else I bought. I bought a bunch of various fabrics. I don't think there was a fabric kit at the time, but I bought a bunch of stuff, a ton of stuff. And I bought a quilt. I don't know how to sew. Like, do you see how this could be a problem? It was so funny to me that I get home and I'm like, what am I thinking? I don't know. I have no idea how to do this. So I go on to Amazon and I buy $100 sewing machine, this little brother sewing machine. And I am trying to sew straight lines. I like super, super basics, just trying to figure out how to use this little machine. And I used it well enough to get those blocks put together. And literally that was my step into Kimberbell. I was all in. Once I saw that quilt with the bike on it, that's all it took for sure. So I did. I made that quilt. I absolutely loved it. And I did sew all the blocks together. I did a terrible job with it, horrible job with it. And then the shop was going to quilt it for me, add the backing and quilt it, long arm quilting, that's what it's called. They were going to do that for me. And then it worked out that they couldn't do it, and they shipped it. I had moved to Idaho during that time. Like, they had my quilt. I was in Idaho at my first ever quilt that I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of myself, right? I have done this quilt, and not realizing I did such a terrible job. And I still hang that thing on my wall every summer. I love that quilt. So I find a long arm quilter. I'm out on a bike ride out here in Idaho, and I see a sign for long arm quilting. I'm like, yeah. So I stop, take a picture of it, call her, and she's just the sweetest thing ever. And I think it cost me like $260, I think. I don't remember exactly. It was a ton of money to get it long arm quilted, and she did a phenomenal job. She quilted each block. It was beautifully done, but I was like, I can't, this is way out of my league. I can't afford this. And poor thing, she probably had to piece it all together because it was so badly sewn together. Like the corners didn't end up right, and none of it was right. But anyway, so after that project is when I decided I'm going to teach myself how to quilt in the hoop. And I did my first bench pillow, and I quilted it in the hoop, and I showed everyone on Kimberbell's how to do it because I figured it out. I figured there's got to be other people that need to know that too. So that was my fall into embroidery, fall into quilting. It's funny how things like that happen, right? How you don't have a plan. I literally didn't know about embroidery when here I am running this cookie business and working all the time working. And now here I am totally obsessed with quilting and embroidery and Kimberbell, and so it all worked out pretty amazing. And I absolutely love what we do and the projects that we make together and the fun that we have. So I just wanted to share my little fall into embroidery. Please remember to tell me about how you got started in embroidery. What was the first thing that you made? How did you find out about it? I want to hear all of it.